Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and we're here to give you a Bardsung playthrough. Bardsung has very recently released on Kickstarter, and we were very lucky to get to spend some time with Mat and Sherwin, two of the designers from Steam Forged Games, to have them show us through the game in the digital world of Tabletopia. We are literally just playing a game from scratch, so hopefully everything will be explained as we go through the game to you, and you'll get a good idea of the mechanics and the guts and the gubbins of all the game work. It starts a bit quick and it ends a little abruptly, but that's just because we were chatting about so many other things that we can't necessarily show you in this video that they're still working on at the time. So do watch it. If you have any questions, do put them in the comments below, and we'll try to get Mat and Sherwin to get an answer for you if we can't answer it ourselves, and hopefully you enjoy the video.
This is an unpacked box. It isn't representative of exactly how it works in real life, but essentially the play space in the middle, roughly 36 by 36 board that will kind of fold out, and you'll have the scroll is essentially your play area. And what you can see is it is a rectangle. So there is a short distance version, a long distance version, and then there is a corner-to-corner version. And these are the three types of dungeons that you will play through, and your adventure will tell you the type of dungeon that you're going to play. So what we would do is, for this, is probably just play short side to short side. We'll play a short mission, which is weirdly long side to long side. And you literally grab the starting tile, and then you grab your you grab your minis and you stick them in the starting zone, which is the stairs that you've got there, and then you're kind of set up. Handful of dice at the top. You can see the marching order, and this is kind of sort of will be randomly generated at the beginning of the game. Over here, you just keep your stack of monster cards, and the adventure that you're playing will tell you the kinds of monsters that you're going to interact with, so you can always have them to hand. And these two cards here are examples of AI behavior. Handful of minis over here. And then down in the bottom left, this is where we actually control the experience. And what you can see is there's two decks, one room and one corridor. And we alternate. If you're in a room and you're exploring through a portal, then you will go to a corridor and vice versa. So if you're in a corridor exploring, then you will go into a room. And that way you end up with dungeons that are a little bit more architecturally sound, rather than just ending up with nothing but corridors or nothing but rooms, which happens or happened a surprisingly large amount of times in our playtest. Above them, you'll see two aspect decks, and one has like a little kind of fight, kind of battle symbol on it. So whenever your room or corridor reveals enemies and the fact that you're going to have a battle, you will then flip this card, and this will modify that battle in a subtle way. So let's say we have a room that has 4 hobgoblins in, and we flip this card and it says pointy spears. Enemies in this room do extra damage. You're like, okay, well, we need to tackle that slightly differently from the exact same room, but now we've flipped over a card that says heavy armor plating. And now they're more tanky, but they do less damage. And that subtly changes the way you approach each room. So, for example, hopefully we won't get it because it's incredibly dangerous, but there's a card where all of the enemies have poison weapons, and poison does quite nasty effects to you, and that just makes you have to try and deal with it in a way where you're resolving the combat as fast as possible before the poison kicks in, and you can kind of get rid of the poison. So there's just little ways that we kind of, and this is where the roguelike elements come in. You never quite know what combo of aspects you're going to get. The other type of card is a challenge card. So if you flip over a room or a corridor that has a challenge in it, these are our puzzles or our traps or just quirky little narrative things that happen. And those are generally skill challenges that you resolve using your core attribute. And other than that, everything will be self-explanatory. The best thing to do is let's have a look at Stoneheart. So if you zoom in using the right mouse wheel and a combination of left and right mouse buttons, so you can see Stoneheart. I'm going to take her card, her character card, and I'm going to flip it over. So when you first start, this card tells you what all your stuff is. So it'll tell you what your abilities are. So you grab balance, thrust, and backswing. It'll tell you what equipment you've got. So you grab the Ancestral Axe and the Forge Father card, and then it will tell you what your starting attributes are for Strength, Dex, Con, in and Wiz, and it will also tell you what your maximums are. So this becomes, that's your setup done. So now you're ready to play. On the other side of the card, this is the side that will be up most often. You can see over down the left-hand side, your core, kind of some core numbers. So your move number is the number of zones you're allowed to move. The shield is how strong your armor is, and then you use that when you're making defense rolls. And your hearts is how many wounds you can take before you're taken out. And because this is a co-op game, if a single person is taken out, then you lose that particular encounter. And then it becomes down to that failing forward. Did you accrue enough treasure? Had you progressed far enough through this dungeon for that failure to actually translate through into a partial success? So you still get through the encounter, you just don't get as much reward as if you'd gone through it without losing a party member. The other stats that you've got here, I'll talk about in just a second. These are the stats that you use when you're doing your combat stuff, and we'll talk about abilities and in conjunction with these in just a second. Over here, your attributes, pretty self-explanatory. This is a D20 plus system. So you roll a D20 and you add the relevant attribute. And that gives you a resulting number. And as long as that number meets or exceeds the target number, then you've been successful. And if it's less than the target number, then you've been unsuccessful. And it's as simple as that. So we want the resolution to be really fast. The reason why some of these are in blue and some of these are in yellow is this is one of the first ways you can spend experience points. So every time you complete an encounter, which is going from one side of the board to the other, you gain a couple of experience points. You can spend experience to increase your attributes. So if you're playing Stoneheart and you've got Balanced Thrust and Backswing, and you will see down here that because she's got the strong red arm, which means she's predominantly a strength character, you might want to upgrade your strength and take it up to +3 and up to +4 just to make her better at hitting with her various abilities.
Will they be just tokens in the physical game? You just put a token on there.
These will be probably stickers, although we are working with game trays with a way of using a vac tray that you put all these things in, and then you just put a clear lid over the top to save your game.
Oh,
so
cool.
So if we can go with a token-based system, we probably will do. But our almost as good as that solution will be stickers. And I quite like the tactile nature of stickers. It's just, if you want to recharge, reset your game, they're a little bit less easy to do so.
Right.
So the key, the real kind of thrust comes from the abilities of each of the characters. So Balanced Thrust and Backswing are the starting abilities for Stoneheart. You can see that she's got an extra ability, which is a passive called Weapon Master. And that means that she can spend fate points to re-roll whenever she misses. That cost her experience to buy extra abilities. So that's the other way that you can spend XP. So you either increase your attributes or you buy new abilities. And then the third way of spending your XP is choosing to upgrade the abilities that you have. So you can see with Balanced Thrust and Backswing that Stoneheart's player has actually buffed her Backswing and her Balanced Thrust by twice. So now if you use Balanced Thrust, you get +2 here, plus the +2 for your strength. So you're rolling D20 +4 in order to hit. So every monster card, and we'll have a quick look at the monster cards in a second, have a very clear target number. So whenever you're attacking someone, you look at the monster card and you can see, hey, target number 10, you know you're attacking with your Balanced Thrust. You know that you've got +2 here and +2 here. So you're rolling D20 +4. So basically 6 or more on the D20 means that you've hit that enemy. And if you hit, you definitely do a normal hit. So if we are using Balanced Thrust with Stoneheart, you will do 1 wound. We all want to do criticals because criticals means that you're doing serious wounds, and that is obviously better than a normal wound. So the way that we do a critical check is when you've successfully hit someone, you then come over to here and you have a damage dice based on your character class or role. So Stoneheart uses the D8. You roll the D8 and you compare it to the enemy's toughness. And if you meet or exceed its toughness, your normal hit suddenly becomes a critical hit and you do extra stuff with it.
Okay.
And that is as simple as it gets. Now, what you can see is some of the abilities like Backswing cost fate points. This kind of gold B means that it costs a fate point. Balanced thrust is your kind of at will. You can always use that ability. Backswing, you need fate in order to do it. And this has an additional effect. So if it hits, when you resolve its effects, you apply the same effects to another enemy in the same zone. So if you hit someone in the same zone and do a critical, you've effectively done a critical to 2 enemies in the same zone. So Stoneheart becomes really good at room clearing as long as she hits and is successful with her backswing. But there's a nice subtlety with backswing as well, is if you've got a heavily armored creature next to a lightly armored creature, well, if you use backswing on the lightly armored creature, you can bypass the heavily armored creature's armor stat by doing a critical hit on the easy to hit guy, and then backswing means you automatically apply that effect to the harder hit guy. So that's a good example of how there's subtle kind of strategy and thought that can go into being more efficient with how you play. But it's quite instinctive like that.
And it's kind of player driven, isn't it? So it's not a rule.
Correct.
It's learning how best to use the tools you've got.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
no, absolutely. Yeah. So talking about abilities, every character has 2 starting abilities and then 10 other abilities from which they can choose as they gain experience and expand out. So this game can really grow. And in relative terms to D&D, we have roughly twice as many upgrade options in terms of new abilities that you can add to your character than you would in a standard D&D class of 1 to 20. So when you actually take something like the Barbarian class in 5e and you disassemble it and look at the component parts, you'll actually see there's only about 5 new things that you actually get, and then every other level up is essentially an upgrade to an existing ability or a slight modification. So we were able to allow players to have a huge amount of choice if they want to stay within their lane. Now, what we can also do is allow players to multi-class by picking abilities from other classes as well. So if you want to play Stoneheart more like a rune priest and have predominantly be a fighter but have a couple of cleric-y things, well, you just buy some cleric abilities, and feed them in. So now suddenly you're comboing your core fighter abilities with some cleric abilities, so you can actually create some really interesting combos in that regard. Now the other.
Sorry, if you do that, can you get into a situation where you become a sort of jack of all trades and master of none, or will you always stay relevant?
No, you'll always stay relevant. There is a small degree of limitation as to how cross-class you can go. Right. So you can generally only buy. We use a pyramid system to keep it simple. So you can only have. What's the easiest way to describe it? You have to have more of your core class than you can of any other multi-class. So it's that kind of classic pyramid. So
for every 2 of your own path skills, you can have 1 from somebody else's.
Okay.
So it's a bit like multi-classing in D&D, where you can't go above your original class level with other classes or whatever that rule was.
It's along that. Yeah, you're kind of just bringing in an element rather than it being a complete lane swap. Yeah, is the idea.
One thing that's also nice, just quickly tying off this, Matt, if you don't mind me jumping in for a second.
Yeah, you dive in.
Is I think one thing that's quite nice with Bardsung is, by giving people kind of the illusion of having that class, because we don't necessarily talk about Stoneheart in the sense of, they are a fighter. We talk about them in terms of it's very much a fighter kind of build. We've keyed in lots of stuff, like look at the visual, it's a dwarf wearing armor, looking quite chunky, that sort of stuff, 2 weapons kind of vibe. In terms of, the path is like the path of blood. So you kind of really go, okay, so it feels like kind of a fiery thing. The names, the sort of bits and pieces are all riffed off. So that way players get an idea of where they want to go with that character. So if you are new to this, or you don't want to do that overhead of too much thinking, you can just go, okay, I'll just buy cards from this path, what they're already on. And I don't need to have the analysis paralysis of getting overwhelmed with, so many options here, what do I do? Any one of those cards is a really good choice for you to just keep on going. And once you actually learn, once you actually sort of get a bit deeper into the game, you suddenly start looking at other people's cards and go, that's really smart though. If I take that, like, I don't know, let's say, vampiric reaving ability from whoever, another the Path of Shadows. Well, actually, when I damage stuff, I can heal, but I'm hitting like 3 people at once. That's awesome. I can be super tanky if I do that. I mean, the rogue might not like you much, but the point is that that's for your playing group to decide. But absolutely.
So I had one quick question just before we start about all the stats with the the classic 6 stats you've got, and they've got those improvements on them straight away. So, is that something that you can, if you want, you don't have to have them in that configuration, so you don't have to have Stoneheart with +2 strength and +1 dex and all that kind of stuff?
Not for the board game, but when we expand this out into a wider role-playing experience, you'd be able to generate those stats. But what we've kind of done is these are almost like pre-generated characters for a role-playing game. So those are kind of locked in for Stoneheart in this regard.
Cool.
But again, goes back to what I was saying is your group might be a bit more happy to tinker with a game and more comfortable with house rules. So if you want to house rule it, more power to you. Nothing to stop you saying no. Stoneheart's super dexy and has no strength. That's fine, and
cool.
However you want to do it.
And I had one last question before we start. Because you've got all of this in the digital version in Tabletopia, are you contemplating doing a digital version in this COVID era that we now live in, for people to be able to play online, or is it just going to be all tabletop and physical only?
It's certainly something that's heavily discussed, and because it's all new to us, we don't have a completely clear picture as to what that business model looks like or should look like. So it's still under consideration, under discussion. But I think you're right that I don't think COVID's going to be gone or not affecting our lives to the level it is for some time to come. So it's definitely something we're actively, looking at.
It's not a no, but it's not a yes, basically, at the minute.
Basically, it's probably a yes, but I couldn't tell you, with 100% surety as to exactly what that means and how it looks like. But yeah, it's probably going to be something we're going to have to do.
Yeah, I think it'd be really nice. I mean, because obviously I have a lot of other things going on in life. I don't get to do any role playing over the TV over the computer, because it's the setup is too high for me to get into it and do that. Whereas this is actually, if it's all there to do, and you've got the tiles and everything, you can just, like you say, you can just throw it out and play.
You don't have to hide parts of the dungeon because nobody.
You've got an almost role playing experience with very few of the overheads, which is kind of exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many upsides to it. I guess, from a business perspective, I just need to understand what the business model is and make sure that makes sense, basically. Yeah. So the last thing before we kind of start rolling some dice, really quickly, every character has 2 pieces of equipment, and those equipment effectively stay the same visually throughout the entire game. So Stoneheart will always have her Ancestral Axe and Forge Father, which is her massive hammer. But what you'll see is one is predominantly an offensive piece of equipment, and one is predominantly a defensive piece of equipment. Where this is relevant is you can upgrade these pieces of equipment. So up in the top right, you will see the number of gems that you're allowed to slot into each of these pieces of equipment. So at first level, you're only allowed to slot 1 gem into each of them. And gems are something that I'll show you in a second, but you find them as you adventure, and they will have cool little doodads on them. So it'd be like +1 to hit, if, versus a certain type of enemy type, or can re-roll a miss, but if you roll a 1, this thing blows up. So they're little kind of, you don't quite know what you're going to get, but you can actually use them to tool your equipment that then affects your main abilities. And as you kill bad guys, you collect gold. Gold can be spent to upgrade your equipment, so you can start slotting more gems into them. So as you progress through and you end up with 3 and 4 gems slotted on each of your gear then becomes pretty powered up at that point in time. But the way that you're building those out is quite collaborative, because when we do an adventure, you might only find 1 gem. So then you need to work out who's best suited to use it. Have they got the right abilities to make the most of it? And then it's just another axis of developing your character. So keeping an eye on the gems that you've got and where you've got them slotted on your different bits of equipment.
Cool.
So that's just a good example of the depth of character development.
So just addressing what we were discussing earlier, in terms of our main setup, as it were, it's literally a case of open up the box, take out your character card, look at what it says on the back, and put the stickers/tokens down, grab your 2 equipment cards, flip it over, and then just get your decks and ready to go. It's designed to be very, very user friendly. So you wouldn't need to suddenly start poring over a book and set up lots of sort of enemies, or start looking at how a dungeon might look and set that up or anything. We'd actually even make it so the decks of cards. So how we're actually going to envision seeing it is you'll and we did this with other games in the past, is you'll literally have a deck of cards. There's a topper on it that says, this is your first deck of cards. Discard that, and then you'll take X amount of cards. So let's say that's 20, and that's going to be the first 20 cards you'll need. So you just separate those 20 cards out into the deck, put them to one side. You don't even need to, even think about shuffling them if you don't want to, or anything else, because it'll be tutorial. It'll be designed to teach you the game.
Brilliant.
So anything else you add, you'll do it as you go along.
These tokens in the middle, because there's 4 of us, we get 4 of these double-sided fate tokens. What we generally do, because we like tactile experiences, is you'll grab those 4 tokens, you put them in your hand, shake them, and throw them in the air, like you're casting the stones of fate. And how they land is how much fate you start with. But we'll roll a d4, and we're going to get a 1. So we are only going to start with 1 fate point for this particular game. So that goes down there. And then the only other thing that we've got to do is, and the adventure will tell us how many lost treasures there are. So we will roll a d4, and we will have 4 lost treasures. So we grab our lost treasure deck, and we just basically put a lost treasure on each of the Bardsung bees that are out in the fog of war. Now, if our dungeon happens to intersect with one of these cards, we can find that lost treasure. So whilst we know we want to get from this side to that side, it will behoove us, which is a glorious word, to consider a little side trek to kind of collect 1 or 2 of these lost treasures, because they are cool things that we can use to upgrade our weapons with.
If you get less than 4, do you randomly determine where they appear on these?
It depends on the adventure. Some will randomly determine, and some will follow a prescribed order in which you lay them out. Okay. It depends on whether you're going straight across, short ways, long ways, or diagonally, basically.
And this might be a stupid question, but this mat that we're playing on, this is a board that you get in the game as well, I presume. It's just going to be a fold-out job.
This will be a fold-out. It'll be a fold-out kind of heavy paper, kind of laminated paper mat.
Tell me you're doing like a mouse mat version as a part of a Kickstarter.
Yeah, there'll be a neoprene version in the Kickstarter, which we'll obviously sell as an upsell item later on.
Salivating.
So let's go. I've slightly cheated and put Dawn Guard at the beginning of the marching order, just so I can show you what happens. So we all get 2 actions on our turn, and we operate in the order of the marching order. And the 2 actions we can make are a move action, and that is obviously the stat that you've got on your character sheet. Most of us have 2. Night Feather has 3, and that's the number of zones that you can move. And the zones are the little kind of chalk marks that you can see on the tiles. Become really clear when you see like the tile that I pull out. And then the other action you can do is an explore action. So I'm going to activate, I'm going to move 1 zone here, and I'm going to make an explore action through this doorway. And because we're going from a room, this is going to be a corridor. So I grab a corridor card, and I reveal, okay, cool. We've got a challenge to start us off with, and we've got a corridor, which is one of these ones.
So the little thing at the bottom left is the challenge.
That's the challenge.
And
that's the number of those cards that are in the actual deck.
Right. Cool.
The orange arrows indicate open portals. If they're blue, it means that there's a door there. Now, it doesn't really matter with this particular card, but we can rotate this card around to basically go whatever way we want. But we have to match a portal with a portal. So it's going to have to go something like this. And that'll go down there. And I need to try and just get that. This is the glory of tabletop. That's close enough. I'm going to lock that in place so we don't do anything. And because it's a challenge card, because I've made an explore action, I am definitely in that room. That's part of your explore action as you move into the room. We're going to now flip a challenge card over. And it's, if you double click on it, an aged lever sits on one wall covered in dust, but surprisingly is firm to touch. A hero on this tile may spend an action to discard this card and gain a lever token. Well, I don't have any actions left, so that's just going to stay there, tempting people who are foolish enough to pull the lever. Now, just to give you an understanding of the mechanics under the hood, when you gain a lever token, that will sit in your inventory, right? That means that you pulled a lever. Now, if you then find a card that says, if this hero has a lever token, something awesome happens to him, or something bad happens to him, well, then you've basically pulled the lever, so you can enjoy the benefits of pulling it. So sometimes it might be good, sometimes it might be bad. Sometimes we might get to the end and it says, there is a portcullis bar in your way. Have you got a lever token to get through? I.e., you pulled the lever and opened the portcullis. If not, you're going to have to go back and open it up. So it's dealer's choice as to what you want to do with it. So we'll leave that there. That's the end of my turn, which means that Stoneheart, you are good to go.
Okay, so I'll use 1 to go to move forward into that zone.
Yep.
And I might as well pull the lever because
Okay, so you pull the lever. So
I am that kind of player.
Fair enough. In which case, you spend an action to pull that lever, so you gain a lever pull token.
Yep.
And that lever goes away. Yep. So Night Feather, you're up.
Okay, so the zones, is that, I can see the grey there. Is it a different zone in the other one?
that chalk line means that this corridor has 2 zones. That's a zone. That's a zone.
Okay.
That's
So
a
if
zone.
I want to move, it'd be like 1, 2, 3.
From here, you'll be 1, 2, 3 to there, and then you can make an explorer action if you wanted to, or you could go off through these doorways. Not recommended always.
That's apparently known as the Sherwin maneuver.
Yeah, Sherwin has a propensity for splitting the party, which everyone knows you should never do.
Never
That's
the
worked.
first rule of role playing, isn't it?
Never
Basically,
split the party.
What I will say is actually, I'm looking at the dice right now and I'm seeing a powerful omen that says that bad luck will happen. Look at all those ones. That immediately says to me, do not split the party this day.
so Night Feather can go 1, 2, and 3 and end up in this zone here.
Okay, so I'll do that.
And then you can make an explorer action. But bear in mind that when you make an explorer action, you're going to be thrust into that room, and then we're going to have to deal with whatever it is.
That'll be
But
fine.
fortune favours the brave.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, do you want to grab a card?
Yeah, so I'll do it for you. Just so it's easy. So because we're going from a corridor, we grab a room.
Mhm.
So let's see what's in the room. Excellent. We've got some bad guys.
Combat.
And we will grab an aspect card because it's a combat. And we've got an ambush. And then we'll start placing some bad guys down, I think.
Grab some models while you're just going through the card map.
Yes,
That's the exit there.
that's the exit there, yeah.
Okay, so we're sort of already looking difficult to get these. If we're going this way, we're going to need
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, these little glowing symbols, these can become secret doors, but only when we've explored all open portals.
Okay.
So if we get to a dead end, or if there's a cave in or something like that, we can then backtrack, or we can just backtrack whenever we want. So we could choose to say, right, let's go around this way. Okay, so the letters on the room card represent different enemy types. A's and B's represent our basic grunts, and we use those to scale between 1 players and 5 players. So if you're just playing a 1 or a 2 player game, you would ignore the B's, and so on and so forth as you go through. And that's probably subject to change in the final game once we get an elegance to how we present that information. But for the time being, an A and a B is a brigand. A C and a D is a brute, and I think that's all we've got on here. Oh no, we've got an E, which is a bad guy, a big bad guy.
You changed my mind. I don't really like the look of this room.
Shut the door. Shut the door.
Sadly, we've got no doors, but yes.
Oh,
I
God.
think we're going to end up with a pretty tough fight here because we've got D4 grunts appearing behind us as well. Let me roll that.
And then everybody dead.
Oh, just 1. So that's fortunate. And that appears on the previous tile. So a grunt is going to step through this secret door and be right in our faces.
And does it matter where they appear? I guess this is down to the party to just decide where they would appear.
Well, no, because it will be in the zone in which the secret door is. So it will be in that zone.
Oh, I see. It has to come out on the secret door. I got it. Right.
Yeah.
If the previous tile didn't have a secret door, would it just be a door?
It would just be a door, or it wouldn't appear.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
generally, the secret door will also have a rune or a symbol on the floor, and that's probably what we'll trigger off. But for the time being, we use the secret doors as our trigger.
So that's not quite 100% determined yet how that works.
Not completely locked in, but the secret doors is the way that we're currently using it internally. So this zone here is the zone in which ambushers and reinforcements would appear.
Right.
Nice.
All right, so
I feel like these guys would have made some noise.
just thought. So
quietly.
what we'll do is we'll grab the cards for the bad guys, and we will stick them all into. Annoyingly, this is the only bit that's a bit awkward, because in real life you just grab them all up, you shuffle them, and it is dead easy. Right, so Stoneheart, you're coming out first. Then the Brigands are going to activate, and then the Mage, and then okay, we're doing all right. Then the Brute, and then last but not,
basically,
I've got one down here. There you go.
Walked into the room and then just gone.
Just frozen in fear.
If I stand really still, they won't see me.
All right, so Sherwin, we're all set up, right?
We are indeed. We're good to go.
Let's dump this card over here. Okay, cool. So, Stoneheart, you are up first. Let's have a quick look at the AI behavior. So if you double click on this card, because all of these enemies, I think, use the same behavior. Yeah, they're all ferocious. So every monster is going to try and attack someone in the same zone if they can. If they can't do that, they're then going to try and charge someone who is unengaged. And if they can't do that, they're going to try and charge an engaged zone. And if they can't do that, they're just going to move towards the nearest hero. The tiebreak in all of these instances is the marching order. So, and then that goes from left to right. So with that in mind, knowing that the Brigands are basically going to try and charge unengaged zones, they are going to flood past Nightfeather and try and start tackling all of the rest of us. This is going to be quite a nice fight, I think. So I'm not going to try and guide you as to what to do. I'm from a developer's point of view, I'm kind of curious to see from a playtest point of view, what do you do, Stoneheart? It's your action.
So can I move past this person here?
So that's a great question. So yes, you can.
Okay.
You will suffer a parting blow if you leave a zone that has an enemy in it. Now, if there are more heroes than enemies when you leave the zone, then you roll this with advantage. If there are less enemies, if there are more enemies than heroes, you will make a parting blow at disadvantage. And if it's an even number, it's a straight roll. So advantage and disadvantage, are you familiar with those terms, or do I need to?
Rolling 2 dice and picking the highest or picking the lowest?
You got it. So so I can gloss straight over that. So what you're trying to do when a parting blow is make a defense roll. So if you remember when we looked at your character card, you have a defense stat. So for Stoneheart, it's 2, which is your armor value. And you basically, if you go into this zone and then into this zone with your move, then he will get a parting blow. He is a Brigand. So if you look at the Brigand card, just double click on it for a second, the number in the top left in red is his target number. So for you to avoid him hitting you, you need to get 10 or more on your defense roll, and you're +2 on that.
Right.
And because you're even numbers, you are just rolling a straight roll. No advantage, no disadvantage. So again, I do apologize if I'm slightly mansplaining everything, but for Tabletopia, just click the dice and press R is the easiest way to kind of do it rather than picking it up and trying to roll it.
And then if
So
I
if you
want to
want
make an attack, I would,
yeah. So you can either move in and hit him, or you can move through and do some stuff in here, i.e. try and tank a few hits for Nightfeather. The choice is yours, but you can move through that zone if you want to. You'll just need to make a defense roll as you go through.
And the ability, I'm just checking backswing, that only affects other things that are in the same zone. So I wouldn't be able to use backswing at the minute.
Not at the moment, no. But we will
chance.
try and get you set up for those.
So I think I will. I'll move 1, 2 through here to try and help out.
Okay.
Old Nightfeather.
That's a really smart move for reasons that that will work out a little bit later on as well.
So you need to make a defense roll against the parting blow. So that's a d20 plus your defense is 2.
Okay.
And you need to get 10 or more to avoid being hit by the. Okay. So if we double click on the brigand card, he has hit you, and you can see down in the bottom left the hit effect is he does a wound. So we'll grab a wound token and we'll just slide that onto you, and you have got 1 wound. So you've got 4 left. The hobgoblin caught you with a blow.
Ouch.
So you've still got an action. So that was just your move action. So you can do whatever you want to do.
Okay, so I guess I'll try and thwack this hobgoblin in the face.
Yep.
So I'll use which would be a balanced thrust. So
That's the
d20 plus my strength plus my upgrade here. So d20 plus 4.
Yep. And you're looking for 10 or more.
Okie dokie. Here we go. Just about 12.
You've got it. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Yep, you've got it. So now we go back to your character sheet. You've got a d8 as your damage.
Okay.
So roll a d8, and if we go back to the bad guy card, you can see he's got a move of 2, and underneath that he's got a skull. That's his toughness value. So you need to get a 4 or more on d8 to do a critical to him.
Okie dokie.
So we didn't do a critical, so he is now bloodied. So we just mark him with a bloody token.
Okay.
And if we go back to the brigand card, you can see next to his number of wounds, we don't actually track hit points. We just track different wound states. So a brigand can take effectively, if he's bloodied, the next hit will kill him, and this is what this symbol means. Or if he's unbloodied, a critical will straight up kill him. So it's basically he's got 2 hit points is a simple way of kind of explaining it. But if you then double click on this guy's card, the brute, you can see that when you wound him, you don't actually take him off the board. You flip this card over, and basically, if we flip him over, you can now see that all of his abilities change. And he is in a different state. So this is how we're able to kind of really sort of change the battlefield mid-combat. And once you get to know these enemies and what their different states mean, sometimes they're more dangerous, sometimes they're more vulnerable. You start building strategies around, when to flip them over and when not to flip them over. Right. So the brigands are going to go. So what we're going to do is we'll resolve from we tend to flood from top to bottom. So this guy here is going to move 1, 2. So he can't attack the same zone. He can't make it to an unengaged zone. So he is just going to charge.
I think we haven't specified, Matt. So in the engaged and unengaged, an engaged zone is if you've got both types of models in there. So you've got enemies and heroes. An unengaged zone is you have one on its own. So you only had a hero in there. So in this case, it would be obviously attack someone in the same zone. So can't do that if we're looking at this model I've just highlighted in green here. If you then went, okay, so the nearest unengaged zone is Dawnguard over here, but it's only got a move of 2, so it can't do that action. So we drop down to the third one, which I think Matt was about to say. It will go towards the closest engaged zone, which it can do. It's going to dogpile in on the same zone as Stoneheart and Nightfeather.
Is there a limit on number of people you can have in a zone, or is it what you can fit in there?
Kind of what you can fit in, to be honest with you. Some zones, our zones are unequal. So some you'll be able to fit a couple of big guys in, others you barely be able to fit models in. If they can't fit in the zone, then they will kind of stop before they get to that zone. So we could probably squeeze 1 more mini into this zone, and we'll probably discover that in a second. So that guy's come in, and he is going to. So he has charged an engaged zone. There's 2 heroes in here. So we go up to the marching order, and we know that Stoneheart is top of the marching order. So he is going to target you, basically. So Stoneheart, you need to make another defense roll against his target number, which we know is 10. So it's your D20 plus your. That's not going to do it. So that's in our best Daniel Day-Lewis impression, that's a wound.
I'll just bring one. There you go. Perfect.
Cool. Next guy. So he is going to.
That's the reason that you click the
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. This
Go
guy.
on, I'll go running in. Trust me.
That's actually to our advantage, right? So I think we've probably reached the maximum that we can get in here now. So he's going to come in and attack you, Stoneheart. Unfortunately, you're tanking everything, but that is kind of your job. So you need to make another defense roll for this.
Actually, roll the right rolls.
Yeah.
Right, I'm not going to use that one because that one sucks.
Yeah, it's cursed.
9.
9 clangs off of your armor.
That is 9 plus my
Armor value.
Armor
is 2.
2. Yeah.
Cool.
So you've made it. We've got this guy here who's wounded. He is going to unfortunately attack you, Stoneheart.
Fine.
You've saved. You've done Night Feather an absolute solid.
18.
Beautiful.
Very good friend.
All right, and then this guy is the last brigand. He has no one in the same zone. He is going to try and charge an unengaged zone. So he is actually going to come in here and hit me. So I am +1 on my armor. 6 + 1 is not going to be enough, so I take a wound from him. We're getting absolutely banjaxed by these guys.
It's a good thing it's the weak ones and not the big ones. I mean, then it'd be
Right?
really scary.
Well, I mean, the game sort of works very well when you can roll average dice. As with
We're
all
screwed,
things
Robin.
dice.
We're so screwed.
Right,
We don't want to play anymore. Pete's dice rolls are atrocious.
so that's the brigands go. Fortunately, Lightweaver, you need to do something before the Reaver and the Brute activate.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do a slightly weird thing, I think, which is I'm actually going to run into combat. If you look at my card, Lightweaver really isn't built for getting too much up close and personal. But what I'm going to do is slightly to take some damage away from Dawnguard, who's obviously now wounded, and also so I can zap at the brigands in range of view. I'm actually going to, in the rest of you, I'm going to run into this zone with an enemy. And then actually, because I can shoot from, I can have a range 2 on my attacks. So I can actually shoot at range. So I'm going to run over to here, and then I'm going to try and shoot that hobgoblin that's wounded. See if I can reduce that down, I think.
Yeah, nice.
So let me just quickly grab around. So
just one thing, because it's probably because you're minis players. We don't actually worry about line of sight. If it's in range, we just assume you can poke your head around a doorway or over a crate or something like that. We don't worry about trying to resolve line of sight, which keeps it simple. Line of sight is one of those really awkward rules to explain to a non-gamer. Line of sight is almost as difficult to explain as a melee engagement, like distance.
Cool.
So I am rolling my intelligence on this one.
All right.
That's what I use. So I rolled an 11, and I get to add +2 to it for my roll, which is definitely going to beat 10.
Cool.
So my rule for lightning bolt is that I actually get to roll 2d6 because d6 is my damage dice, and I can choose the highest. Spectacular rolling there, a 1 and 2, total 3. But it's okay because, as I said, I was attacking the wounded one. So I've done my normal effect, which is a wound. So lightning bolts have lashed that wounded hobgoblin and killed it. So
Cool.
It's now removed. It's dead.
So is that clear? Like he was already bloodied, which meant that any single wound would take him to his threshold and he would be taken out.
Yeah, the only bit I wasn't sure on is where the range came from, but that's on.
That's on my card itself. So if we have a quick look at
Oh right, okay.
this card, we can see that I have a range of 2. It's that axe symbol on the
I
side.
gotcha. Nice one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my damage dice is below that, which is d6.
Yeah, cool.
So I think that
was pretty decent.
That's also potentially I've got that sets me up for an Azure Leap next turn, assuming we live that long, which I think would be pretty cool. So I won't drop too many spoilers yet, but I think I can help us with a bit of tactical deployment next turn.
Okay, yeah, I think so. Right, so what can I do that's going to be smart?
If you can't
I
be
think,
smart, be violent. That's what I always say.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use a guiding strike on the hobgoblin that's in the zone with us, and I am rolling +2 on this. So please hit. Yes, so that's a hit, and I am a D6 damage type. So I need a 4 or more. So that's a critical. So on my critical, I do a critical wound and a push. Now I'm going to resolve them in the order I want. I'm going to push and then do the wound. And the reason is Dawn Guard has an ability which generates fate points if she disengages a friendly. So because this guy was in the same zone as Lightweaver, I'm pushing you out. I get a fate point for that. And also he dies because I did a critical to him, and he can't take that. So he's off, which I'm now going to spend that fate point. So I'm going to flip it back over, and I'm going to use Steadfast. And Steadfast means that I'm going to pin Stoneheart to the top of the marching order. So you are definitely going to go first next time.
No pressure.
Which means
there.
that you should be able to get your hit on the bad guys before they do anything. The downside is it means you tank everything, but you've got the most armor, so that's all good.
Theoretically, I should be able to take the damage.
You should be able to take the damage.
I'm optimistic.
Oh, they've not seen my rolls, Robin. They've not seen them.
Right, so that's my go. So now we've got the Reaver, and the Reaver is ferocious, and he is going to move too and do some stuff. He wants to charge unengaged, so he's actually 1, 2. No, he can't get to us. He's going to come into you guys, isn't he? You guys in the doorway. He's just going to come in, and he's going to attack you, Stoneheart, because of the marching order. So you need a defense roll, and he is an 11.
Okay, so D20 plus 2.
Sounds easy when you say that quick.
Oh. Okay, maybe I
It
shouldn't.
may come to regrets.
Hi, I'm
Maybe-
Pete. My rolling's awful.
Maybe we shouldn't have
I only win
been-
out games of Warhammer
Multiple tokens
Underworld.
if I'm mistaken.
3?
No, I picked up multiple tokens.
I mean, I know
Again,
I'm in trouble, but
Loading,
that's
I
just
mean,
rude.
I would just leave them here in case we need them.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
going to need them. We're going to need them.
All right. Well, so that's the Reaver's go, which is great. The bad side with the Reaver, if you look at his ability, is Brigands gain that symbol there whilst in the same zone as another enemy. So that symbol means that we are attacking them with disadvantage. They're basically, it's like a phalanx. They've like locked shields, or they're fighting together, and they're just harder for us to hit. So whenever you see that symbol with the chains over it, it means we attack with disadvantage when we're using basically our combat attacks. Lightweaver's all right because she's a magic attack person, so she can bypass that. Right, the Brute. Let's do the Brute. So the Brute is also ferocious. He's going to move 2 and attack someone, but I don't think he's going to be able to fit in these zones.
No, they're just going to wait happily at the edge.
Very big.
So I think they're going to move closer. Yeah, that's as close as he can get anyway. I think they're just going to move closer. We've kind of gummed the door up nicely, which is good. Good for us. Nightfeather, over to you.
Right. Okay.
Did that with such purpose as well.
Yeah. Do I just want to hit something, or can I do anything sneaky?
You can do lots of things that are sneaky. We've got one bit of. I think your way of generating fate points is killing an enemy. So
Yeah.
I would have a look at getting rid of a grunt if you can.
Yeah.
Piercing strike is a good way to start because that's your freebie.
Right.
If you hit normally, you can do a dodge. If you hit critically, you do a critical wound.
So what you can do is actually get yourself out of danger with this, which is quite good.
Right.
Or further into the room because our dwarf is actually suffering a little bit.
Yeah. So draw people away, presumably. Okay. So if I do a piercing strike.
Who did you want to aim at? Perhaps one of the grunts, or
Yeah, one of the grunts.
The Reaver is actually strangely easier to hit because you don't attack them with disadvantage. The grunts you do.
Actually, the Reaver's
okay.
not a bad shout, to be honest with you.
Especially as we remove the Reaver as well, then suddenly the grunts are easier to kill again because they're
Right,
not.
well, shall I go for the Reaver then?
Yeah, I think that's
Attack the beaver.
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I rolling?
D20.
D20 plus 1.
You're a dex-based character, so you
okay.
use your dex.
yes,
which,
there's the
see,
symbol.
we've upgraded dex to +4
Oh, I see.
on Nightfeather.
Okay. Right. So it's D20 plus 4.
D20 +4, and you need an 11 or more to hit.
Come on, Robin.
That's not going to do it. So your only other option, I think, is still a good option, is to use our fate, one fate point to power up a quick slash, because you can't do another piercing strike. You can't use the same ability twice.
Okay, right.
So that's
the same, is it?
It is the same roll. It has a slightly different effect.
I'll try this dice.
Go for it. +4. That's better.
Hooray.
All right. So if you look at Night Feather's card, you're a D6 damage dice champion.
Yep.
And for the Reaver, toughness 4. So you need a 4 or more on a D6 to do a crit.
4.
That'll do it. All right. So if you look at Quick Slash, you do a critical wound, and you can make a dodge. So you can dodge yourself one zone. And then if you look at the Reaver card, you can see when wounded, we flip this card over rather than taking him off the board. Yeah, so down by his toughness. And then we'll flip
Where's
the card.
That? Oh, hang on.
Sorry. If you look at
flipped it.
yeah, if you look at the Reaver card, just underneath his toughness, it says when wounded, flip this card over. So flipping him over, he's now in his bloodied state. Which means that a critical wound on him now will kill him. Right. But we've got rid of the effect where he's making the brigands tougher. So now the brigands are back to being easy for us to take out.
So it's only a critical wound will kill him, not a regular wound.
So you can do a normal wound, and that's kind of halfway there. But a critical wound it will take him out in one hit.
Oh basically. Sorry, there's the step. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that was a pretty decent go, and you've got your dodge as well, so you can dodge somewhere.
What's also very good with that as well is that if you notice the special rule has now changed, which basically says that it's the brigands are no longer shield locking anymore. So you've actually made it easier to target those as well. So well done, Night Feather.
So because we've turned the card over, we can't see it anymore, and therefore
it's not
has an effect.
Okay. So I would either dodge deeper into the room or back towards us. It almost doesn't matter as far as I can tell. So it's whatever.
All right, well, I'll risk dodging deeper into the room. Well, that seems a bit counterintuitive, but I can do that. So where does that go to here?
Yeah.
Well, it's adjacent zone wherever you want to go. You could jump in with one of those brutes.
Jump in with a brute if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I'll do that. How do I turn him back up again?
I'll do you.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. Cool beans. All right. So that was Night Feather. And what we will do, just to compound our misery, is we've reached the end of a combat round. Right. So we'll make a Wandering Monster check. So on a 5+, a Wandering Monster will appear, having been attracted to our noise. So fortunately, this time it didn't happen. If it did, it would appear here as a Wandering Monster token, not too dissimilar from the Gene Stealer blips from Space Hulk. So we wouldn't actually know what the Wandering Monster is. And then every time it activates, it will move closer towards us. And when it gets to us, it will then reveal what it is and attack us. And it's always bad.
It's never
so
good.
I've just been resetting the marching order. So Stoneheart obviously stays where they were. That token off now.
Yeah.
And then I will grab the first card, and I'm guessing because the way that flips over, it's always Night Feather.
Yeah.
Always Night Feather's card. It flips over whenever I draw it.
Weird.
Something about that.
And the Reaver.
Then me.
Yeah.
Actually, this
okay. I'm okay with this. Actually, this is a good.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good draw.
All right, this is cool. Right, Stoneheart, you're up.
Go on, Stoneheart.
Okay. So we haven't got any fate points at the minute for me to be able to use backswing.
No.
And I can only generate them by making 2 attacks.
Yeah.
And I can only make 1 of each attack. So I can't generate any.
You're not going to be able to generate any fate this turn unless you roll a 20 or a 1.
Oh, yeah, just roll a 20. Easy.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what I meant to do. I see. I completely missed that before. I guess I might as well just try and smack the big guy.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Reaver.
So let's roll dice. D20.
D20 +4 is not going to do it, is it?
So if I then move to that middle zone there.
Yep.
And then I've got to take a part in blow, haven't I? Because there was just
take part below, and because they're more bad guys than you, then you to do this at disadvantage.
So I've got to roll
So
both of these, basically.
Yeah, you roll twice, and so you take a wound, but we'll drop that on your card for you.
Here's something made earlier. Yes.
It was still the right move. Otherwise, you're going to take 3 hits.
Yeah,
now
that's
you're
true.
going to take 1 hit.
That's true.
Right,
Okay.
Night Feather, you're up.
Okay, so I'll try and hit the, what is this, a brute?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's using piercing strike.
Yeah, so if you look at the Brute's card, he's got the chains on his target number, which means that you are disadvantaged to attack him.
Okay.
But you do have the piercing strike thing where you can re-roll the damage roll if they're the only enemy in the zone.
Yeah.
So that helps.
If you actually get through, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that, Pete. Thank you. Okay, I'll try that then. So it's disadvantaged. I've got to roll 2 dice, but I've got to get over 11. Is that right?
Yeah, so you need at least a
Plus
7 on both dice.
7 on both dice.
Come on, you can do it, Robin.
Press shift to then select both if you want to.
Wait, look at that. I didn't even get
Wow.
2 dice.
You weren't joking when you said you can't roll dice, were you?
That's amazing. Okay, poor Night Feather.
This is par for the course for us so far.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, my friend, I think you're out of options now. You really need to hit him.
Okay,
Wow.
I'll just go like this.
Okay, so it's the Reaver next. So the Reaver is ferocious. It can't attack anybody in the same zone. It will go after the person who is highest on the initiative order from the available targets, if there's anyone unengaged. And that looks like it's going to be you, Stoneheart. So we're going over here.
Yeah.
And definitely encroaching on your personal space there. And then a defense roll, please.
Defense roll at 11 is his target number.
It's not 2 meters away. They're not 2 meters away.
Definitely not wearing a mask.
20!
Hey!
Oh, Jeff, that's quite a fate for us. Well done.
And we get fate points.
So does anybody score a fate point if they're rolling a crit?
Yeah, or a 1.
A natural 20 or a natural 1.
Awesome.
That is an excellent result. Because not only are you not dead, we've also got fate points.
I could use that to actually activate some of my abilities, but I think I'm probably better suited saving that for Stoneheart next turn, I suspect.
I also feel like you need to get out of the zone that I'm in, and we can help sort of spread the bad guys out a bit.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go forward to here then, in which case. And then I might actually... Who do I want to shoot? I might just shoot the Reaver. Just try and clear that up a little bit. No, because otherwise the Reaver's going to have a thing. So I'm going to shoot at one of the Brigands. That's the easiest target here. So that's going to be a lightning bolt. So dice plus 2. Actually, just quickly, am I arranged to shoot a brute? Yes, I am. I use magic, so let's shoot the brute because the brute's an easier target for me to shoot than it is the rest of you.
That roll a 20, that's been exhausted.
That's okay. Still a hit, so I have 11 plus 2, and I don't do this at disadvantage because it's a magic attack. So I get to roll 2 of my d20s. That looks pretty good. That's a critical, so that is a serious wound. And if we have a quick look at the card, a serious wound says that I flip this, so I'll flip the brutes over. Now this will affect both brutes. So the idea is I've damaged one, and basically they've both sinned. I've enraged them. I've hit one, and both of them are basically sort of filled with this bloodlust, this rage.
I was just about to ask what happens when you have multiples of the same, and you just answered that.
So they've no longer got this disadvantage thing for everybody now, which is good. And if we do some damage, then they will be defeated. But obviously, if an enemy of this type is defeated, flip this card. So effectively, I've broken the armor of one of the brutes, which is enraged both of them. They're going to steam forward and try to attack us now, and they'll have a bit more of a powerful attack. But the flip side is that if we kill one of them, then the other one will sort of clear its head and sort of see what's happened to its mate, and then calm down a little bit again. We'll have to break its armor once more. It resets.
Like, chill out. Just chill out.
So there's a couple of tactics here that we can drop. So we could, for example, do a little bit of damage on both of them before finishing one off, because then that obviously will carry over when the card flips back again, because it's in their vulnerable state. Or alternatively, we could just try and finish one off as quickly as possible and sort of just go through that churn, whichever way we think is best.
Always feels like getting rid of the weakened ones is always burn one down before you move on to the next one. Always feels best. So do we need to put a token on this guy here?
No, because we've just flipped over the card.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Discard the token, so. One of the things we're very happy with this is we've created quite a very token limited system. I'm not going to say token free because obviously we have a couple of them, but it's very limited. We didn't want to have piles and piles of tokens that everyone has to keep track of when they're playing this game. So, because otherwise that's just when things get mixed up.
Yeah, I think I need to get rid of some of these wound tokens. There's far too many of them just gumming up the whole
definitely
my
agree
day.
that,
Yeah. Is it me? I think I might burn that fate point actually. I'm going to move 1, 2 into here to try and tank these guys. And then I'm going to burn the fate point on Wrath of Gods, which is a range of 1. I'm going to attack this brute here with my ranged spell. So I am this +2. Please hit. Okay, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that didn't cost us a fate point.
Matt,
that is the end of this message.
Were you rolling at disadvantage, Matt? Remember, I just flipped them, so you don't need to roll at
No,
disadvantage.
I rolled just 1 dice. I'm afraid.
You didn't roll really bad, just bad.
Just bad, yeah. So, less said about that, go the better. But I am in the right place for the brigands to attack me because they are now in the same zone as me. They're both going to attack me. I am. My defense roll is +1, so that's a save. That is not a save, so I take another wound. Well, I take my first wound. That's fine. And it's the brute to go. So the brute that's in the room with in the zone with Nightfeather is the easy one. Definitely going to hit you, Nightfeather.
Yep.
Run away, chicken boy.
What's my defense is?
Your defense is on is on your card is a 1.
1. Okay.
Yeah.
And his challenge level is 11, so you need at least 10 on this.
Oh.
Yeah, nicely done. Sidestepped with aplomb. So this other guy over here, he has no one in the same zone. So his next ability is charge an unengaged zone. Well, we are all engaged. Lightweight Weaver is not, so he's going to come in here for 1, 2, and charge Light Weaver.
So does he need to make a parting blow?
I'm glad you asked that. Monsters do not suffer parting blows.
Boo!
Which is good to be a monster, and about the only thing that's good about being a monster.
But I think when you're the size of this guy wearing this much armor, you probably wouldn't feel it anyway, right?
So he's just come thundering through at you, Lightweaver. You need to make a defense roll. Good luck, because I think you're just wearing a dress, aren't you?
I am, and also we seem to be doing a weird dance. We've got to know each other very well, this brute and I.
I think you made it. Beautiful.
Oh, I've wrecked them. They're all over the place now.
All right.
Oh, there you go. Stoneheart's going first again.
Hooray!
Then the Reaver.
Which I'll just flip back to its other side. That's going to be Nightfeather. It's always Nightfeather, where who flips over.
It's because she makes a stealth check whenever she comes out of the bag.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Hidden. Stealth chicken.
I think it's the coding actually on this particular thing where it thinks it's on its back for whatever reason. And flips
All right.
flips it
Cool.
back over again.
All right, Stoneheart, you are up.
Okay. So, the Reaver. Is he already injured? The Reaver.
He is.
So I couldn't possibly kill him.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the right tactic.
Yeah. It's not worth me using the it's not worth me using the fate point to use backswing at all, as far as I can tell.
No, I think if you don't finish them off with the balanced thrust, maybe. Obviously, hitting them again with backswing is a good idea, but not inherently as your first attack.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do that then. I will just do the fairly regular attack then. 5.
Go on, spend the fate point. Use balance. Use your backswing to try and finish him off.
Right.
It's ever so slightly wasteful, but it's worth it to get rid of him.
16.
Hey.
Hurrah! So that
Okay.
kills him.
So we need to roll the no.
Actually, you know what? What you could have done is instead of using backswing, you could have been using your weapon master ability, which is to roll a missed attack. So let's say that's that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
weapon
forgot about that.
master.
Yes.
So you miss with that attack, spend a fate point, you get to re-roll that hit, which you did with a 16, so you've now hit with your first balanced thrust.
Okay.
So you
Now
get
you make a damage roll, which is D8 versus his current toughness, which is 4 now.
Ah,
All right, so you've grazed him.
I've mildly irked him. So if he takes another one of those, he's dead.
Basically.
Yeah, he's blooded. He's not feeling too good about life.
Okay.
He is going to go, though, and he is going to attack you. So you need to make a defense roll of 11. And I don't want to heighten the drama too much, but you've got no wounds left if you fail this.
Well, at least we get to see what happens if you die.
Oh,
Spectacular.
Beautiful.
chin.
That is glorious. Night Feather.
If Peter taken a wound there, would he be dead and that would be the end of the game for today?
That'd be at the end of the game. And because we haven't collected enough treasure, we would actually fail this encounter.
Right.
So,
There's still time.
I've got good feeling. I've got faith in us.
Right, so I need to hit the brute.
Yeah, you're mano a mano with the brute.
Am I right in thinking he's not disadvantaged anymore, or is he back to being disadvantaged again now?
No, he's still. The card is exactly the same facing as before when it comes out, so it's still you're not disadvantaged attacking him.
Okay, so I use my piercing strike again.
Yep. You are +4 on this.
3.
Oh, nice. That's a hit.
Yeah.
He is currently. I think he's dropped down in toughness because he's flipped over, isn't he? Yeah, he's toughness 4. So you've got every chance of hitting him.
You can re-roll it because the only one.
Sorry.
Your ability to re-roll it
on your damage.
Oh yeah, so I can re-roll it.
Yeah.
Well, so there's it's not the worst because what you have got with piercing strike is you actually get to make a dodge rather than doing any damage on that core attack. You can actually make a dodge, which means you can actually reposition yourself nicely if you wanted to, away from harm or into the same square as the Reaver, whichever way you, or even back in with the Brigands. It's whichever way you wanted to go, really. So it's not a complete waste.
Okay. So I can move away from the brute.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I can't remember what he's going to do. So, but I can go into this square.
He's either going to attack, charge an unengaged zone, charge an engaged zone, or just move closest to a hero.
So in which case,
going with Pete, he won't then attack me. Mind you, we don't want to attack Pete, do I? Because he'll kill Pete.
Yeah.
So I can go squeeze into this zone here.
Yeah. Although he's going to move into the nearest engaged zone, which is going to be Pete.
Okay.
So you really want to be going up here if you want to keep dragging his aggro away.
Because he goes to an engaged zone first rather than an unengaged zone.
Or baits him around the room with it.
Yeah.
Oh, he goes to an engaged zone first.
Yeah, he wants to go where there's a ruck rather than where there's just a bloke standing on their own by the looks of it.
Yeah, but if I go there, doesn't that mean he'll move?
Oh no, his first thing will be unengaged.
Oh,
so
sorry.
He will follow you. If he can't reach an unengaged, he will go to the highest.
Okay.
marching
So if
order.
I go here, just follow me, but I'm a bit closer to the door. Is that really
Correct? Yeah.
Explore the next room. More monsters.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go through here, lads. Is that all right?
Yes. See you later. All right. So that's Night Feathers go.
Door, no reason.
Right, Dawn Guard. What have we got? We got no fate, have we? Come on, Dawn Guard, do some stuff.
You can do it.
So I think with our fate, we're going to suddenly kill a whole bunch of these enemies, I suspect, in a hurry because we're basically winning the hard to kill ones at this point. The smaller basic grunts will finish off in a second. I think in a sort of, I think this is going to be a feast or famine combat.
Yeah. I don't really want to move anywhere, so I'm just going to hit one of them with my guiding strike. I think. I'm not going to do anything with that roll.
Not that guided.
Everything else I need to do needs fate points, which we don't have. And if I move, then they're going to go after Stoneheart. So I'm basically just going to tank them for my other action. I'm just going to hold their attention and stay where I am.
So next,
brutes.
So the first one is indeed going to go after Night Feather.
Yep. Charging an unengaged zone. So Night Feather then makes a defense roll. And nicely done. And Lightweaver, you need to make a defense roll.
Well, about that.
That's a 1. I've got it for you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And it's your go.
Right. So I am. Let's try and kill that. I'm going to shoot the Reaver with a lightning bolt again because I have range 2. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Because if I can finish them off, then that's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my goodness.
We've infected them,
Nice. I think
Robin.
if we add all of the numbers together, we'd probably get 20.
I'm not convinced of that.
Oh, this game is quick if you never ever hit. it's
right.
it's
That's
not quick.
true.
For my next one, what I'll do is I'll vortex. So this is something that doesn't cost anything. It means I roll a d6, and if I get a 5+, then we generate a point of fate. Yep, that's 1 point of fate.
Nice. 1 point of fate. Cool. Brigands go. So that's 2 of them on me, isn't it? Right. Let's do 2. Yes. No. All right. That wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Wandering monster check.
And I'll do the shuffle.
4+. No, we're good. And you can do the shuffle of the marching order. Right. I've got a good feeling about this round. I think we're going to do good things.
So
Okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, we're not going to do good.
Oh
things.
my.
Well.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure. I want to retract my previous statement.
Demand a recount.
Yeah, exactly.
As is the current spirit of the world.
Yeah, I'm going to take this to the Supreme Court of Justice. This deal is not what I voted for.
Right.
All right, let's see how this plays out.
So the 2 hobgoblins first. Sorry, the 2 brigands first.
2 brigands on me. Do you know what? I can tank these. This is fine. 9 + 1 is 10. Is just enough. And 11. Yes.
Oh,
Fantastic.
My faith
Beautifully
kept me
average.
safe. Yeah.
Would you
Next, the
for
brutes.
the dice to get more towards average? Would you a massive string of 20s now?
That is true.
Okay.
Right, brutes. So brute on Night Feather. You need to make a defense roll against 11. That's good.
Yeah.
Was it? I get +1.
You get
Can I do
+1.
that? Yeah.
Yep. And
Like mine as well.
Night Weaver is good as well. Oh yeah, I told you we had a good feeling about this. The Reaper. This is
Good
where it
middle
goes
of the
wrong.
road.
Oh God.
Oh, here we go.
So the Reaver is 11 and you're +2. So 9 or more on your D20.
Oh well. If anyone was going to ruin this run, it was going to be me. Oh,
Oh, I made it.
I'm alive.
Right, now it's time for us to clear up. Come on, Light Weaver.
I think I am going to still blast the. Let's blast that Reaver because I want to make it so that I want to free up Stoneheart to run into the room and start killing things.
Yeah.
So let's do that. So that's going to be a lightning bolt. Yeah, that's going to hit. So I roll 2 of these.
Roll 2, because even though we definitely killed him, you might get 6. Beautiful.
So
What's the 6 do
my
again?
special rule for every hero has their own fate generation rule.
Oh,
my
yes.
one is if I roll a natural 6 when drawing damage, I generate a point of fate. So that's exactly what I've just done. So we now have extra fate on this as well, which is cool.
Nice.
There you go.
Great. This is great.
So for my next move, I think I'm going to vortex again and try and generate us some extra fate points. So we have loads of this power.
And the Reaver is gone, so I'll take him out of the marching order as well.
So that's the other thing that's happened. So the Reaver is removed from the marching order, and we gain a treasure token. How many treasure tokens on that card, Matt?
Right, so if you double click on the Reaver, he's actually worth 2 treasure tokens.
Oh.
So we've got 2 treasure now, which helps us massively. There you go. Which helps us massively towards our failing forward. So we're actually in a much better spot now.
So my turn is over now, so it's over to Stoneheart.
Stoneheart, do your thing.
So would I be better charging into this zone and taking on both of these brigands here?
Yeah, charge in, do a backswing.
That's what I was
really
thinking. Yeah. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll move into this zone here. Ooh,
Yep.
shove people over a bit.
That's,
Oh god.
that's all right, I'll fix him. There you go.
Nice one. So I'll charge into there, and then I use a fate point, and attempt my backswing. So come on, dice.
Well, we've got the extra point for you to re-roll as well if needed. We're working master.
6. So +4 is 10.
That's
Perfect.
it.
That's it.
Yeah, needs 10 or more with,
So
with
now-
a brigand.
So now I've rolled my damage, D8.
Yep.
1. Nah.
So you've done 1 wound to each of them. So they're both bloody because of backswing.
Okay. That's me done, I guess.
Okay. Stoneheart is a bit balked on my... Oh, no, he's just... That's cool. So Night Feather, you're up.
Okay.
Time to finish this brute off.
Do him
Right,
in. Do him,
give it a
Rob.
go.
Do him one.
Oh,
Hey,
20.
natural. Was that natural 20? Was it?
Oh,
Another
yeah.
fake point.
Beautiful.
Nice work. So natural 20 on an attack roll means that you automatically critically hit. You don't need to roll your damage dice.
Excellent.
So
Was that piercing strike? Was it?
Yeah.
Right. It was, piercing strike.
So you
That's
automatically critted. So you automatically do a critical wound to him, and if you look at his card, a critical wound will take him out now.
Ah.
Now, if there was more than one brute, you would take this guy out, and then this card would get flipped back over. So his mate would go back to being a tough
okay.
nut again.
Just hanging out with me.
So that guy is gone, and that guy gets taken out of the marching order.
No, Matt, there's a brute hanging out with me.
Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, well,
that
he still
card
gets
flips
taken
back.
out. Your brute suddenly becomes harder to deal with. All right.
Sorry about that.
So just
Fine. But we also get another point of fate if you look at Nightfeather's card.
Yeah.
If Nightfeather defeats an enemy, generate 1 point of fate as well.
Excellent.
So we've got a point of fate for
43
that.
Yeah, I think we've. I think again, I said feast of famine. I think we were just weakening them for the previous previous rounds, right?
All right. Dawnguard does not like going last because a lot of my stuff is setting other people up. Let's try and get a guiding strike in. So I'm going to guiding strike one of the hobgoblins in the same room, same zone as me. +2. 11 is a hit. I will roll to see if I can crit. I do not. So I get to push one of them, which will generate us a point of fate. But I don't want to do that because I want Stoneheart to be in the same zone as two of them. So I'm going to choose not to push, but I'm going to give Stoneheart an advantage token, which means that Stoneheart, you make your next attack with advantage because my god tells you where to hit.
in the face.
Yeah.
Always a good choice.
And then I'm going to move into here and take a partner blow as I do. It's going to be even because we're an even number of dudes. Oh, I am going to take a wound for that, but it's worth it because I need to try and come over and help Lightweaver create a bit of space. And that's my go.
Okay.
Shuffle them the thing. Did you want to do the wandering monster on that?
I'll do a Wandering Monster roll. I was just letting Tedwood in. A 1.
Rah.
We've been quite lucky on these rolls.
It's good. Or we would have been in real trouble.
Well.
Oh, come on. I was hoping that I was going to go before you.
It's just this... No, it's not the same order as before, is it?
Not quite.
Not quite.
It's not far off, though.
No. Fate said not quite there.
All right. Brigand's on Stoneheart then. This is where it could go wrong.
Oh dear. Right. I'm going to tank this. So,
Yeah, you'll be fine.
bam.
That's good. No!
So close.
It was so close as well.
And with that, Stoneheart falls, and that is basically us failing this particular encounter.
No. So close.
So close, so close.
I think we did all right. I mean, there was about 6 baddies right there at the start that we came up with, and maybe 5 or 6, something like that. That was
Get myself cramp again.
The ambush card is pretty tough, and to be fair, we whiffed more rolls than we ought to have.
yeah. I mean, my dice came up absolutely stonking as they normally do when I'm rolling. So I really like that though. That was very simple, very streamlined, very quick.
But that was a lot of fun. That was I enjoyed that a lot. Even with the fluffy dice rolls, I think we still had quite a lot of dynamic going on with what was
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel what you were saying that I'm going to kneel down. Maybe that's not going to be all right. I definitely feel what you're saying that it's very simple to play, but actually there's a lot of depth. It's quite complicated to master.
There's a lot to it, and
Without you guys giving us a few hints on the things to do, I think we would have died much quicker. But you kind of pick up the nuances of how to help one another out and that kind of stuff.
We've definitely looked to make the game quite dangerous because that I think makes it important to make good decisions. But you can always sort of stay back and grind a few extra missions, get a little bit of extra XP before you press on. So you are able to modulate, your chances. So if you are kind of an experienced group of gamers, you could just forge forward at quite a decent pace and play it well. Or if you're not, you just take your time a little bit more and grind a few more missions to get your levels up.
So in this situation, we would just have to do this mission again from scratch, shuffle all the cards up and everything like that.
Because this is a short one, and because we killed that Reaver, it's highly likely that those 2 gold pieces was enough for us to fail forward.
Okay.
So what does that mean? I was going to ask you that. How does the narrative sort of thing work? How does that?
So the campaign. So what you've played there is an encounter.
Yeah.
Each adventure is made up of a number of encounters, and the campaign is made up of a number of adventures. And the campaign essentially is a choose your own style series of adventures. So you, at the end of each adventure, you'll be given a choice as to which way you want to go, what you want to do, and that will take you down different routes. So there's a lot of replayability in the game, and one of the ways that we've tried to tell the story is we encourage you to play it multiple ways through to see it with slightly different lenses, slightly different approaches. And it's a bit like The Wire in that regard, where you get a sense of the same situation from three perspectives, which is quite cool. Each adventure will have a lot of agency as to how you approach it. So you might choose to go the hard route and go down, a route that is full of traps and danger, but it's the shortest route to get to the bad guy. Or you might choose to go around like the longer, more circuitous route, which is a bit safer, but it's going to take you a few more encounters to kind of get through. There'll be things like key lock puzzles, so you might need to go and find a key before you can progress past a certain part of the adventure. And the key will be a random dungeon, a random card in the Lost Treasures. So you will shuffle that and then deal those out, and hopefully you'll find it as you're adventuring out in the darkness, as it were.
Did you want me to bring up the one of the prototype adventure sheets we had made to help you explain that a bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
Do you mind if I have a quick look at one of these cards, the ones that we dealt out?
Yeah, help yourself. Yeah. Look at.
Super useful if you can enable screen sharing.
Look what we could have won.
Here's what you could have won. So you got like +3 hit roll. If it's 1 or 2, you discard it. So I get that once. +1 hit roll.
Let me just ping Charlotte, because I'm not sure she's there to hear. I can't enable screen sharing at the moment.
Oh, that brilliant sapphire would have been amazing.
Hit roll.
Jeez, that's disgusting.
Or Quicksilver would have been very handy.
Yeah, both of them would have been good. Yeah, so you can see these lost treasures are definitely worth kind of venturing out to try and find.
Yeah.
Hello, so there we are, there's Bardsung. We absolutely loved that game. Our dice may have followed us from the underworlds, especially mine, but you know what, it didn't matter. Even though we failed abysmally to clear the room in the end, it was close, and I think maybe with a few more games under our belts we would be a bit more tactically nuanced and maybe be able to fend for ourselves a bit more. As you can see, the dice rolling mechanics in the game and how you do combat and damage and all that is very simple, very streamlined, and we love that. We're also really happy with the sort of the generation of the dungeons, the world, if you want to call it that, and how you handle your upgrades and how you monitor everything. There have been changes since then. Some of them, especially things like stickers, have changed. Your best bet is to go and check out the Kickstarter to see what is now on offer, and do go and back it. It is already fully backed, it's hit its target, and they're hitting new goals all the time and creating new things. There's already new heroes coming out and stuff like that, and a new wandering monster. We were very lucky not to come into contact with a wandering monster on top of everything else in that one. So, hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, do stick any questions below and we'll try and get Mat or Sherwin to answer them if we can't ourselves. And hopefully we'll be back soon to play another game at some point in the future of that and show it off to you until we can get our hands on our copy. And do like, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff here and on Facebook and everywhere else to keep your eye out for more Bardsung content. We'll see you soon. Bye.